Okay, Paleo Man's board again. As you can see, we have lots more of this cold white stuff, and I guess some of you guys out in the Midwest are supposed to get a batch of it too. So I thought I would give you a little video today on the many uses of flint. I'm going to use Onondaga flint to start out with, and show you how it can be used to make many tools. Show you how simple it is and some of the really neat things you can do with it. So shortly here I'm going to have my son come out. He's going to run the camera and I'm going to get to work. Now I'm telling you, it's really cold out here. It's like 18 degrees and my hands are freezing, and that's okay. It's what it is. So anyway, I'll be back shortly, and we'll get on with the demonstration. This is a talk, by the way, I give the kids a lot of times when I give a demo for flint knapping. So you guys are going to get the kids' version. As I said, it's cold out, so the mask here is really for warmth and to hide my face, because once the ladies see me, they're all going to, leave their husbands and start writing to me and won't leave me alone. So that's not true. Anyway, what I want to do is I want to start out with a piece of Onondaga. This is Onondaga Chert, and my geologist son here will probably correct me all the way through this because he knows more about rocks than I do. But Onondaga is formed like a layer cake. This would be a layer of limestone, sometimes varying thicknesses between the layers of chert. So on each end of this piece of Onondaga, you'll see there's limestone. So what I need to do is I need to get a flake off. So the best thing to do is to take just a nice heavy hammer stone and see if I can pop a flake off just by hitting it right on the edge. Good stuff? Okay, great. Let's take a look at that. The flake detached right off the face, and it gave a pretty sharp edge right here, as you see. Now these raw edges can be used for a lot of things. We've got some leather here, and with any luck I should be able to use this raw flake to cut through leather. See if I can hold it long enough. Let's see here. Kind of hard to do when you got gloves on. I'm not used to working out in the cold like this. But you can see that flake was very effective at cutting through good tough leather. So this flake right here already is a knife, and with a little modification, let me see what I've got here. I've got a nice, I think I got an antler tine that I can use right here. I can turn this into a saw real quick. A lot of you guys have seen serrated points with just a little pressure flaking along the edge. It takes very little work to produce a good saw edge on a piece. So now we have a good edge that can be used as a saw. And if you had, say, a piece of antler or bone that you wanted to cut, you could use this Onondaga saw quite effectively. As you can see, it's cutting through solid bone, and with a little effort and a little time, I would be able to cut right clean through this piece of antler. So that's one good use of it right there. Now, one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that Onondaga is good at cutting other stones in the form of a drill. And let me grab some stuff here to show you. This is a piece of obsidian here. If you want to see a really sharp edge before I'm done, I might take a flake off this and show you how much easier this cuts the leather than the Onondaga did. So, when you look at this, you see pretty much a small arrow shaft, and that's what it could have originated from. Maybe the arrow broke and the feathers are gone. You can take that small arrow shaft and, I don't need gloves for this, you place it on a stone, say a pendant, and you can use it as a drill. And it doesn't take much to drill your way right down through a piece of, this is some flagstone or some bluestone. You can see how well that's drilling. It's going right down into there. And that works really well, but native peoples are quite ingenious, and they modified this same tool. The Eskimos were quite famous for using this to drill ivory and other stones like slate and things. They put a stone weight on here as a flywheel. You could take an antler tine and drill through that, stretch a sinew across it, and then you can wind it up, and all you need to do is apply downward pressure. And this drill will constantly keep going as long as you apply the downward force. Now these drills are quite ingenious because if a flake pops off during the process of drilling on the end of the drill, it resharpens itself. So the Flint drill is the world's only resharpening drill. Kind of a nice feature, and I wish we could incorporate that today. As you see though, it's drilling its way down through there. You can hear it cutting it. And I'll stop there, and you can see that that was drilling quite easily through there. Now anytime I make bird stones or anything like that, I use flint drills because that has the right look to it. So, drilling is another thing you can do with flint. These are pieces of Onondaga. This is how it occurs. This is one that I've kind of bifaced somewhat from a chunk like that. And here's what I would get as a large spall. Now that's a beautiful big piece. That hopefully someday it will become a Genesee point. And here's also another chunk of raw Onondaga. This doesn't benefit from heat treating. It doesn't really do anything for the stone. It's kind of an oil-based material, and when you flake it, you can smell petroleum, and it doesn't really get enhanced any. Now what I want to show you is a little bit about flint and steel. Now, let's see, we had a flake here. Where did I put that? May have to knock a new one off. Oh, there it is. And I've got a striker here. This is a piece of steel that's been heated red hot and dipped in water. And what it does is, when you strike it against the Onondaga, it produces sparks. Well, a lot of people don't know this, but what's sparking is not the flint itself, but the metal being peeled off the face of the striker. So as you strike, the flint is harder than the steel, and it peels it away. So let's take a piece of chaga. This is chaga. You've seen it in one of my earlier videos. There's a chunk here, and we'll see if we can, with a little luck, capture one of these sparks on it to get something. There it goes. Now we have a source of ignition. And that's how easy it is to get a spark and have it held on something like a naturally occurring thing like this, a chaga. This has a wonderful smell to it. So that's another way of getting your fire. There is also friction. Wagon John has been doing some stuff with friction. It's been very impressive. But let's do one more spall here with the, I think I'll use an antler on this piece here. This is obsidian. Obsidian is volcanic glass, very high in silica. What I'm going to do is just try to strike a small little blade off this with this mousse. Okay, you heard I struck right here. Now look at what it did. Took off that whole side. Very little impact there for the platform. So let's take this same piece of leather here and see if I can cut with obsidian as good as I did with this stone. Now you do have to be careful when you're doing this because obsidian is very sharp. But you can see it's no effort whatsoever to cut through stuff like leather. It's a very, very, very sharp edge. Anyway, that's just a real quick look at the many uses of flint, the tools you can make, and I just hope that you enjoyed this, and I thank you for your comments, and thanks for watching.